Okay, everybody, we have came in from our chores today, and I was gonna share with y'all another recipe. So I'm gonna set my phone down and try to show you if this will work. I've got some cube steak. I'm gonna make some country fried steak here. I've got it sliced up. We like to do ours in little pieces. Just cut it up, thaw it out, cut it up in little strips like steak fingers. Like that size. I've got some Worcestershire sauce I'm going to take, and I just put a little bit of that on there after it thaws out some and get it cut up, and then let it marinate for a little bit. Then we'll put some breading together, fry those up. I've got some corn on the cob going and some potatoes cut up for mashed potatoes. Can't have country fried steak without mashed potatoes and gravy. So I'm also going to make some coleslaw. Like I said, I got some corn on the cob, mashed potatoes with the cube steak, and I'll make some gravy. But just bought a bag of angel hair coleslaw. Got mayonnaise, salt, pepper, just a little onion powder, just a little bit of sugar. You can put some vinegar in there, lemon juice, just something to give a little tang if you want to. But I'm gonna get this in the bowl and mix that up, and we'll get a coleslaw marinating for just a little bit before we're ready to eat. Okay, so I got my salt, pepper, mayonnaise, onion powder, and just a little bit of sugar in there. I'm gonna go ahead and stir that up and add a little milk. Okay, so I got all that mixed up. So I like mine where it's just a little runny. It almost looks like ranch dressing. Then we're going to pour that on top of the coleslaw, mix that up, and stick it back in the fridge and let that marinate for a little bit, and it should be good and tender by the time we're ready to eat. So this is what it looks like mixed up. I did add just a small spoonful of extra mayo. Wasn't quite enough to begin with. And just a drop or two of lemon juice to add a little tang. This is just what we call country coleslaw. This is just the way we like it. Doesn't necessarily mean that's the way you got to do it, just suggestion. But we're going to stick this in the fridge and get started on something else. So when I do my country fried steak or cube steak, the way I do it is I put me some eggs and some milk in a pan. I'm going to mix this up and soak the steak in here. Then I've got a pan of, I do half flour and half cornmeal. A lot of people do just flour, but I like the way the cornmeal sticks to it and the crust it makes. So I'll do half and half of that, do a little salt and pepper and mix that up, and then you'll dip it in your egg mixture flour. Then we'll get some hot grease going and get started frying that up. Okay, so I've had the meat soaking here. We're gonna go ahead and dredge it. I'm gonna break one of my rules I learned in home ec a long time ago, because you're supposed to use one hand for wet and one hand for dry. But since I'm trying to record, I'm not going to have an extra hand. I'm just going to do it like this. I'm going to test my grease. Normally what I do to test it, make sure it's hot, is just take a little pinch of your flour and drop it in there, and that's sizzling. I'm actually going to cut that down just a little bit. You don't want it too hot. We're going to dredge the meat in this flour and cornmeal mixture. I added some salt and pepper, a little onion powder. I cook a lot with onion powder. Some people may not like it. A lot of people don't like onions. We love them, but it just gives it some good flavor. So dredge that around. You also don't want to crowd your pan when you're cooking this. You want them to cook kind of fast, because cube steak has always had a bad rap of being tough. Now this is fresh meat, obviously, from our farm that we raised here. So it will be better than store-bought, but cube steak does not have a lot of fat content. But here's a piece I've just dredged in there. I don't know if you can hear it sizzle, but I go ahead and drop these in here in the pan. Let those go ahead and cook. And while these cook, I'll go ahead and be heating my grease in the other pan just a little bit. I'm going to make a gravy, a white gravy to dip the cube steak in after it's cooked. So here's what that's looking like. Alright, so these are cooking up. I'm gonna go ahead and turn that. Get my brown there. Flip them over. It doesn't take very long. That's why I like cutting them into strips. It doesn't take them near as long to cook, or it doesn't seem so. So they don't have a tendency to dry out like that. They stay good and tender. So what I do when I fry stuff like this, to keep it crispy, while I get the whole batch done, whether it be country fried steak or green tomatoes, I get my little pan here, cookie sheet, put this on top of it, and so they'll sit on top of this and drain the grease down. And I'll preheat my oven about 200, 250, and keep them in there to keep them warm and crispy while the rest of them get done. All right, so this batch is done, so we're gonna go ahead and take these up and get those out of the way. Like I said, just pop them in the oven and keep them good and crispy and warm until it's time to eat. So I went ahead and got some more dredged over here, so we're gonna go ahead and throw it in the pan. Again, just kind of cook it in small batches so it doesn't lower the temperature of your grease too much. If it does that, it makes the crust soggy. All right, just pulled the last batch, so gonna leave all these in the oven, and let's get started on our gravy. All right, so with my country fried steak, I like a white milk gravy. So I put a little bit of oil or grease in my pan, let that heat up. So we'll take a little scoop of just plain, you can use all-purpose or self-rising flour, it really doesn't matter. Take a little flour and put in there. And stir it around, and gonna make what they call a roux. And that's just, you're gonna cook your flour. Normally cook it for about a good, at least 2 minutes. I'll put just a little more flour in there. And cut this down. Your roux is supposed to be a little thick. Not so thick it clumps up, but kind of almost like a paste consistency. May have to add just a little bit more, but just keep stirring that and let it cook for just a few minutes, and we'll add in our milk. So this is about the consistency I like to get my roux for my gravy. Like I said, just about a paste type consistency. Not too thin, not too thick. I'm just gonna sit here and let that cook, kind of stir continuously there so it doesn't burn or try to scorch. I think my stove is on low right now. I'll go ahead and get my milk out and get it ready to pour in. All right, try to set my camera up so y'all could see, and I need both hands. So we'll pour in my milk, start sizzling, and it's gonna thicken up pretty quick. So just keep stirring that. You may have to turn your heat down just a little bit more. It's thick pretty quick. Then just keep stirring that up. Just keep adding a little more milk. Keep it thinned out until you get about the consistency you like it. We'll add in a little salt and pepper and give it a little taste test. All right, so here's what it looks like after, I think I'm done adding my milk, unless it just sits here and gets too thick. Added some pepper. Some people call this pepper gravy. It's white gravy, milk gravy, whatever you want to call it. We just call it good. So add a little salt in there. Put a little butter in there if you want to. So just get your little spoon, do a little taste test, and add what you need to as needed. I went ahead and drained my potatoes and put some butter in there. I'd already put some salt in the water while the potatoes were cooking, but I just take my mixture, and I know this may look strange, but I just kind of like to mash them up with the mixture just a little bit before I get started. Just kind of helps them not sling out of the pan. And I'll add a little milk and turn the mixer on. So here's our finished product. Got our mashed potatoes, coleslaw, crispy country fried steak fingers, our white gravy, and corn on the cob. Let me know if y'all like the recipes. Comment if you'd like to see more of this. Remember to like and subscribe. Doesn't cost anything at all, just keeps us on so we can do more videos. Till next time.